You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review. I'm here in Sacramento, baby. Boom, chicka, boom. Doing the podcast in my hotel room. Boom, chicka, bow. Hey, that rhymed. Excellent. So Jeff Garcia is in the Zoom right now. So we'll get to opening remarks later. But guys, my guest tonight, you've seen him on Showtime. He tours around the world. You've heard his voice on Happy Feet and Jimmy Neutron. Jeff Garcia. This will be my second time interviewing him. And he's in the waiting room now. Jeff's iPhone is here. Dun, dun, dun.
Yo, you're crooked.
Hey.
How come you're crooked?
I'm crooked?
Yes, you're crooked.
It looks like you're crooked on your phone.
No, I'm perfect. Here, let me. I don't have the phone holder that I don't have the phone holder that like let me see if I can set this up. No, I need something heavier.
Well, it's good because I only released the audio.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Unless you
Okay.
want me to release the video, yeah.
Nah, whatever you want, man. You know me, I don't care.
Jeff, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Sorry I'm late in the phone call, man. I had to use the restroom. I swear I'm fucking 27 years old. You know what I'm saying, bro? 30 in the morning. Yeah, right, dude.
I'm in Sacramento, and I gotta tell you, man, I haven't performed in Sacramento in like 5 years because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being this cool. Like the crowds were awesome.
Sacramento's a blast. I got cousins, and every time I go out, they take me everywhere. Oh my god, it's fun, man. It's fun. You never do that, huh? You never go, oh, where you like going? Because comedians, I've been everywhere.
Yeah.
They go, favorite place to go? I'm like, dude, Milwaukee. They're all Milwaukee, not New York, not Miami. Nah, Milwaukee was a blast, man.
Yeah, I'm doing Milwaukee in May with TJ, and it's the first time I'll do Milwaukee. I mean, I've done Wisconsin, but that's not Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, it's not Milwaukee. No,
Yeah.
Milwaukee. People are so friendly there, man. You're gonna love. You're not gonna want to come back. I stayed for an extra 2 days.
But no, you wouldn't expect Sacramento to be so great.
Oh, last man.
Yeah. So, Jeff, thank you so much for doing my podcast again. It's been a few years, and I've always felt with you like we know each other, but I always felt whenever I see you and stuff, you're just that one guy that I could actually talk to. Like I feel very close with you. You know what I mean?
No homo?
No homo. Just like I very like I feel like you and I have that type of energy friendship where I could just pick up the phone and call you and ask you about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man. And a lot of the guys when I was coming up, they would do the same for me. So I'm not going to be an ass and not do it for the new guys. So
yeah. So, but like that's the thing about comedy, because like I truly feel comedy is a brotherhood. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't be like there's comics who don't like each other or whatever, but I feel like it should be a brotherhood.
well, you gotta understand whenever ego's involved. I mean, it's not just comedian. It's pro athletes. A lot of them don't the ego. It's what it is. I mean, there's enough room for everybody to make a little bit of money, right?
Yeah, that's true. When you started comedy, because the internet probably wasn't really taken off, it was all about word of mouth, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, Jeff Garcia is funny. You guys got to book him." And now it's all about the internet. So would you say the internet has helped you because now everyone knows who you are, or do you think word of mouth booking was still powerful?
Oh, there's nothing better than word of mouth, bro.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? As I trip out on this because you're right. Word of mouth has gone away with everything. I remember when we were younger. I know I'm a lot older than you, but when we were younger, somebody would go like to your work or school. Hey man, you got to catch this movie Back to the Future, or you got to catch this movie Karate Kid. Like people talk. Even with social media, I never see. Oh, I just seen the greatest movie. This I never see that.
Yeah.
But when when I was younger, that's when you went to go watch a movie because somebody told you it was good.
Yeah. I feel like with social media, I've never seen anyone talk about a movie. They just talk about like the TV shows.
I haven't even heard. I look because, and you know me, I'm a comedian, but I barely work.
Yeah.
I, so I'm open to something to watch, and I go on Facebook, I go on Instagram, and they never mention anything good.
Yeah. Uh, you've been doing this for a long time. When podcasts first started, did you have a feeling that they were going to blow up and become as huge as they are, or did you think it was just going to be like a radio thing?
I did no. I had an opener, Mikey Gonzalez, and he goes, and he's a youngster, and he's we got to get on this podcast. So we had a podcast for like 2-3 years, and then everybody got too busy, and we just kind of disbanded it. But that podcast is pretty much where it's at right now. Is because there's a lot of people out there on the news, like mainstream news that don't really want to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's like they
Yeah.
haven't. Like I'm a big Bill Maher fan, and sometimes I can tell he wants to say something, but he's not saying it because it's not the popular thing to say. But podcasts, they do that all day.
Yeah. And they don't care if they say the wrong thing or whatever because,
They don't. And then and I hate this like new backlash. Like Joe Rogan says something on his, and then like all these artists started like dropping out of Spotify. I'm like, if you don't like Joe Rogan, don't listen to him.
right.
You ain't got to set out a crusade to get him shut down. What's your problem?
Yeah. See, I used to think like podcast, like when I first started, I mean, I've been doing it for a while now, so I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I'm a lot better than when I was before. You know what I mean?
No, I
And
get you.
and I would say that when I started it, I always thought it would be, oh, it's about the guest who you're interviewing. But now my view is it's actually about how you're the energy and the connection is with the guest. You know what I mean?
No,
So
you're right because I think that too. I think because I've done some podcasts and interviews, and if they know what's going on with me and they have a inkling of what I do and what gets me upset, all you gotta do is say the right thing, and I'll go off.
yeah,
Oh, it's only a half-hour podcast. Oh, wait, but let me tell you about this dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but yeah, if you got the right guest and you give him exactly what he wants to talk about, you're gold, man.
yeah, it's all about that. And I feel like there you can never talk about the wrong stuff, especially if there is a lot of wrong stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
funny.
You know who that is doing interviews?
Yeah.
Chris,
Chris who?
Chris Rock, hands down.
Oh,
And I'll tell you why I say that. I say that because I've seen him do a couple. I didn't watch. I can't watch comedy because it'll stick in the back of my head. Oh, 3 years later. Oh, I wrote that. No, you didn't, dude. Somebody else did.
right.
But I can watch his interviews. And the interview he did with MC Hammer. Oh my God, the first question he asked him was, "Okay, what did you buy that you want to take it back?" Remember how Hammer got broke?
Yeah.
What did you buy, man? What did you buy that you say I shouldn't have bought that? I thought that was hilarious. And then he went off on all, he talked about Hammer talked about all the things that he blew money on. And
Yeah. It might have been the same interview. I'm not sure, but I listened to an interview with Chris Rock where the guy was talking to him because like he was such a big fan of Chris Rock, and Chris Rock's getting, I'm assuming gets asked all these stand-up questions all the time, and the guy totally does a 360, and he asks us about Saw, which was a movie Chris Rock did that no
yeah,
one and like Chris Rock was like, "Oh my God, let's talk about this for 20 minutes," and like it totally destroyed the whole fear of comedy. So I feel
mhm.
Chris Rock enjoyed that interview more. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I think that Chris Rock, I think Chris Rock is the most underrated comedian in the last 40 years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I remember he says things that completely stick in my head. Like the guy's just a genius.
Yeah,
He said this one time. He said he's doing an interview and he said, if ignorance is bliss, what's the opposite of that?
yeah,
And that like blew my mind. I'm like, yeah. So if you're a Forrest Gump and you're just going through life, what does it mean when you actually can think about certain situations? What does it mean?
yeah.
And
That's a very.
that blew my mind, man.
I wanted to ask you because you've been doing this for forever, so I'm sure you've seen Chris Rock live. and
Yeah.
I haven't, but I've seen Tony Rock live, and I thought Tony was great. And I wanted to see like what it like in your experience at comedy, since they're brothers and stuff. They have two different styles, really
Yeah.
styles. And I wanted to see like, did you like when you started off, did you see do you see like Chris and Tony and vice versa, or who do you think's the better stand up in that field?
I think it's got to be Chris, but see, but there's two styles that I've noticed. There's the meticulous guys,
Yeah,
and then there's the guys like me. Like Tony Rock would be more of my style. Like we just go, we get a
yeah,
funny. Oh, but Chris Rock will sit there and meticulously break everything down. I'm not a big fan of the meticulous style, but like it's got to be from the feeling of it. It's not okay. I wrote something and it's funny. And Chris Rock, he told himself real early. He's like, I got to learn how to talk funny.
yeah,
If I learn how to talk funny and I'm writing stuff funny, there's no way it could lose.
yeah. Now, when you first started, did you start like writing the jokes down? Because I know when I see you perform live, it and you know we've talked about this before. You're writing on stage. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
something that I mean. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 17 years, and ever since I've seen you, that's how your style has been. But I was wondering when you first started, like when you were 15 or 16, did you actually write it down? Like, how did you get into? Hey, it's easier to write on stage.
No, I wrote everything down when I was a kid. Until I was like 24, I wrote everything down.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why I stopped doing that was because I got to do those cartoon voices. So I couldn't go out of town anymore. So normally what a comedian will do is write an hour, go out of town, do a special, and then spend the rest of the year writing another hour, doing a special. I couldn't leave LA because I had to do those cartoon voices.
Yeah.
So I would go do shows and it'd be the same faces in different clothes. So I'm like, I can't be saying the same shit. I gotta I gotta figure another way out. And that's what I did.
Did you ever really like touring though? Because like I feel like when you were doing the voices, you enjoyed doing the LA, but you still did, you know, like you're like, oh, I'm making money doing the voices. I'll just do around California. You know what I mean?
Well, when I was like 17, Georgia told me that some of the best advice I ever got. You don't understand. You want to be this and that. He's all for you to be a millionaire in this business. All you need is 20 cities that love you, 5,000 people in 20 cities that love you, and you're rich.
Yeah.
And he's exactly right. I mean, if you're a Latino comic, and think about LA alone. I mean, you got the Ice House in Pasadena, okay, which is really far from the Ontario Improv, which is really far from the Rec Room, which is really far from Pachanga's Comedy Club, which is really far from Levity in Oxnard. I mean, that's already five off the bat. If you can sell those out, I mean, then you pop out to, let's just say Fresno, then you go down to San Diego. I mean, then Texas is a whole different ballgame. But if you got 20 cities and 5,000 people in each of those cities love you, there's no way you can go wrong.
Yeah. I did want to ask you about the Rec Room because I actually got you into that club. Like, not to brag, but you know, I did. And I wanted to ask you, like, because I find that club to be the best comedy club in the world, but I find it the hardest to sell until, because the day of, it seems like that's when it sells.
Oh,
You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
And it depends on what comedian you are. I mean, like a guy like Craig Shoemaker.
Yeah,
Craig Shoemaker signs up at Do Brea. He's sold out like 3 weeks, like beforehand.
yeah,
A guy like me, like I have like, going in on Tuesday, I have like it holds 2,000 people for the weekend. I have like 80 tickets sold. And then on Friday, we find out we sold out 3 shows. I mean, it's just the crowd who it is.
Oh, so that has nothing to do with the club. That's just how it is then.
Yeah, that's just how it depends on who you are. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I have to agree the Rec Room is a very, very, very nice club. But you know what club I'm on right now? I'm on that stand-up
Yeah,
Bellflower.
yeah. I'm hoping next time you do it, you'll let me open for you because I want to get in there.
Nah, yeah, just whenever you see me there, just pop in, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you know me. I mean, I like to text and ask and make
No,
sure
no,
it's
no, you're good. But that guy thought of everything. If I was going to open up a comedy club, that's exactly the way I do it. That guy thought of everything, man.
yeah,
I mean, he has a built-in cameras, so you want to film your set, you don't have to take your like tripod. His audio is perfect. His seating is perfect. He's got everything that you'd want in a club. He has a small green room, and he said he regrets that small green room.
Mhm.
But other than that, that club is 110. I think all the club. If you're gonna open up a club, you need to go to that club for like at least 3 or 4 shows. Let's see what he's doing.
Right. Yeah.
Kitchen
I
kitchen is placed perfectly. They walk behind the sound booth and go right to their table. It's not like they have to walk like Ontario. You have to walk all the way through to give somebody a drink. No, everything's right there.
yeah. Speaking of green rooms, do you really think like because I get the concept of it where it's like, because deep down it is to protect the comedians from audience members. It's not really, what I mean? That's what deep down it is for. But do you think that like it's starting to become more of a hangout place where like if a comedian's there, the openers are fine to go in, but then like it seems like they're bringing in their family and their friends, and it's just kind of like, like it's kind of disturbing the purpose of the green room. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. One of the things that when I started, middlers and openers weren't even allowed in the green room.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
we have a like my first time out of town. I was 16. I went to San Antonio, and I was opening up for a guy named Nick DiPaolo, and he was a nice guy. He was great.
Yeah.
And, but I wasn't allowed in the green room. I didn't know that. I mean, because all the clubs that I worked before were like Comedy Store, Laugh Factory. I mean, the Ice House, but everybody was chilling. There was no real big. It was all like group shows with like 4 or 5 guys.
Right.
And then so I had no knowledge of that. And then the manager out there told me, he's like, I was going in the green room, like, your openers and middlers aren't allowed to go in there. And then
Wow.
that changed later. Oh yeah, the way the comedy was back then is nothing like it is now. I mean, if you were middling, you couldn't even sell merch.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that I've never that I totally agree. I think the headliner should only be the person who to sell merch. But hypocritically, when I was on tour with Norm and Jay lets me and they let me sell merch. In fact, they wanted me to sell merch. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always
I'm the same way. I mean, because you're obviously not getting paid as much as we are. I
yeah,
mean, I give you a little leg up. I mean, when I sold merch, that was to pay for my flight and for food and drink when I was on the road. That money went right there. So I took my whole check home.
yeah. That's pretty cool, man. Like, was it $20 a shirt or like
CDs, bro. I
oh
sold.
CDs? CDs are hard to sell now with this whole fucking technology shit.
Yeah, you can't sell no CDs and DVDs. That's a done. You know, guys were selling DVDs and they had no idea their shit was on YouTube. They're like, yeah, you have 400,000 views. I'm like, wow, views on what? And you look up and your DVD on on YouTube.
I think I was one of those dumbasses because when I released my first 30-minute special, I used to sell the DVDs, and it was one of those specials where uh, see if you've ever like felt this. Like I I didn't enjoy my first 30-minute special. I thought I filmed it when I wasn't ready, and I can't even watch it because I feel it's just terrible. However, I love my hour special. I think it's the best thing I've ever done.
Okay. Well, you got to understand, everybody thinks their first shit is whack. Everybody does. There's nobody
Okay.
that walks out first thing and go, I'm a hit. No, no.
Yeah, yeah. So so your first CD, you thought it could have been better.
My first CD, no, because it was only like I was like 17 when I filmed, or 16 when I filmed it, and it was only 29 minutes. So
Okay.
it was, and I would work every day, so I had that 29. So it was pretty solid, and I still make money off it to this day. I mean, it's on Spotify, and then I chopped it up and made a greatest hits like 1996 to 2001 or something like that.
Oh. So you have re-listened to it, so you obviously are comfortable with that material, but you never thought, I can't believe I did this material.
Yeah, but it's gonna be like that. But like you can't do that. Like if you're a comedian and you make something and you don't like it, you have to release it. You have to move on. It's got to be like a bad day.
Yeah. It's
And
got to
remember,
be like a movie. Like you can't refilm the movie. You did it for the check.
exactly. And it's like this too. It's like people don't understand this, especially comedians don't understand this. Comedy has no standard.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to an open mic night and some guy can wreck it, and then some fan will like they become a fan of that guy's, and then they go and they compare you. This guy has 8 minutes in his career, but they'll compare you to this guy. They see, he's seen this guy, he was great. Like, it has no standard.
Yeah. And you're actually one of those headliners that helps comedians. You know, you let them do guest sets and stuff. And I would say honestly, whenever a comedian like that's probably one of their first big credits is saying, "Hey, I opened up for Jeff Garcia." So like I think that's something you take a lot of pride in doing. You know what I mean? Because you've always been like that since I've known you.
I mean, like I was in the struggle. I know how it is, and it's behooving that like you'll see a guy and you'll know he's good, but he just got it's practice. All it is practice.
Yeah.
Like I trip out on these young comedians that are trying to write the next best bit. It doesn't work like that. Like when I'm doing shows and I'm making it up as I go, I'll remember something. I'll go, that shit was funny.
Yeah.
And then it just I look up and I have an extra 45 minutes of material. I mean, it's just practice.
Yeah. I remember, because you used to drop in to do second base in Orange with George Perez, and you'd watch me, and you've always been very nice to me, but then there's times where you're like, you could improve on this, and then like the next time you see it, you'd be like, oh, you got better, and then you see me the next time, you'd be like, I thought I told you to improve on this.
Nah.
So,
I'll tell you right now, bro. You learn. I've learned this. You learn more from watching a bad comedian than you do watching a good.
yeah, definitely.
You see some of the things like like we have camps. That's the way it started back in the 90s, where we got together. You picked your middler, your opener, and you headline or whatever, or they headline, and then the job was to tell them what you're doing wrong, what you're doing wrong. Like and it's easy to teach comedians nowadays because now I'm doing it so long, I can spot just by watching them for like 10 minutes, I can spot what they're doing, what their problem is. Like my new opener Lola, right? She talks really soft. I'm like, no, you gotta talk like a cop.
Yeah.
And that was her problem. Another guy didn't know when he wasn't punching his punches. He was telling a story up there like it was a fucking book report. I'm like, nah, homeboy, you gotta stop when it's funny. You gotta let the crowd know what you think is the time for them to laugh.
Yeah. Have you ever have you ever noticed that there's either really good writers but they're not great performers, and vice versa? They could be really great performers but their jokes aren't good written.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys like that, both on both sides of that. Like I had an opener for a minute. I'm not gonna say his name because I'm gonna talk shit right now, but
Right.
he would read me with the joke he wrote, and it was brilliant. But what's funny is he couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of guys, a lot of guys too. Like this, I'm victim of this. We were writing great jokes that we didn't have the talent and the experience yet to pull off.
right.
It was like a notebook. I remember when I was like 23, I read back in my notebook and I had that skill now. So I look back at some of the shit I wrote. I'm like, I can do this now.
Is there still some stuff like when because the comedy, even though you've already made it, you could always continue to climb. Is there some jokes where you feel, okay, I could pull this off, but then there's some jokes that you think, okay, maybe I can't pull this off yet in your heart, or
Not at this stage, like about 12, 13 years ago, yes.
okay. Do you think COVID really fucked over like everyone?
Yes and no.
Yeah,
The reason why I say yes and no is because it made a lot of comedians that were just stuck in like a little rut figure out what they really had to do.
right.
I mean, that it screwed me because I was about to buy a house.
Yeah,
Got divorced like 5, 6 years ago, and I was saving up money, and I had to live off that saving money that I was gonna buy a house with. So now I'm like back to square one.
yeah.
But it did teach me I can make money off YouTube. I can make money off this. I can it taught me other ways to make money.
I also feel like it, like in a way, it, because I do believe that there's a virus, but I also believe that there comes a time where we have to move on from it, and I think we stayed shuttered in too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, one of the things that like it's funny too because it's starting like with all this internet and everything going on, all these streaming, and it's starting to understand that the government's starting to understand that they can't pull this kind of crap without getting the major backlash.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they blame Trump, said he didn't do it right, and then now Biden's there and everybody's blaming him. I mean, they're realizing that information is going to come out whether you like it or not.
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah.
And there's so many platforms for it now. I mean, like, does anybody ever watch like Channel 4 LA News at 11? I don't think so.
No, I watch Gutterfield, the one with the comedians. That's where I get my news from.
Okay, yeah, Gutfield's Gutter.
I think you would do great on that show.
I'll hit him up.
Yeah. When I wanted to ask you because like I found out you were on the remake of Star Search.
Yeah.
What like when you did that, did you think, okay, this is core, or did you think like this is not going to live up to the original?
I didn't even put much thought into it.
Oh, you just did it?
Yeah, and it was just like because my manager told me like at the time we all sat down with him like you're not getting us any work, man. What's up? So that was what he got me.
Yeah. Did you win it or were you eliminated?
Second place.
Second place. That's still really good.
Yeah, I messed up though. 'Cause I thought I was trying to save my good material, so I got to the end, and I should just went balls out from the beginning. But
Did,
it got, and I made like I tripled my money the next year after doing that.
yeah. So then it was a good decision to do.
Yes, very good decision. That's funny because you try and make like the agency called me and they go, we want you to do America's Got Talent next year, and I'm like, I don't know if that's a good move for me. Like I don't, and I didn't think Star Search was gonna be a good move, but it was great. But I don't
Right.
know.
I think you would have done great on America's Got Talent. You probably could have won.
Well, the whole problem with that is that I know Howie Mandel and I know a couple other the panelists. I know him. I mean, how fair is that going to look?
Right. Yeah.
There's pictures of Howie all over the internet.
I thought because there's never been a comedian to win that show, and I thought Josh Blue had the best opportunity to. And for some reason, it's just maybe comics aren't supposed to win those shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that's the funny thing about contests is that they're like nobody. I've never seen a comedy contest where the person I thought should have won. Not one time.
Me too.
Like I'm seeing this guy wreck it, and he comes and he doesn't even place top 3. I'm like, what? This guy killed everyone. That's the.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. It's always the person who like either brought the most friends or they stole like Bill Cosby's first hour or something.
I mean, yeah, you've seen it. I mean, like, and then they always ask me to judge comedy contests. I've only done it one time.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did it was because the owner of the Ontario Improv called me and asked me if I could do it, because I can't. To me, like I said, there's too many styles, there's too many differentials, there's too many things that you'd have to judge on, and it's all going to be different.
Yeah. Do you believe comedy is subjective, or do you think it's not subjective?
I think it's turning subjective because the fact that like all these woke people and these people that are the cancel culture and shit like that. I mean, it's like I've never seen comedians get backlash, like we have in the last 10 years, like 8 years. I mean, if you listen to a comedian and you take it to heart that he's trying to send a message out there, you're just stupid.
Right.
Our job is to, this was told me when I was very young. My job, I know what my job is. My job is for me on Friday and Saturday, for you to come down with your lady, get out. I make you forget about that shitty fucking Monday through Thursday you had.
Yeah.
And then you do it all again on Monday.
Yeah.
For that pocket of time, you're happy and you're not thinking about shit.
And then on Sunday, your job is for you guys to come back and it'll allow me to bomb so I can do better the next Friday.
Yeah, I know. we used to call it New Stuff Sunday.
Do you remember when clubs used to like give the headliners the Thursday the one show, Friday the two show, Saturdays they'd add the 11 o'clock show, and the Sunday the one show.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you enjoy doing those weekends? And like, what if so, which one was the hardest show for you to do?
Hardest show for me personally is always a 7 o'clock show.
Really?
Sold out Ontario, like completely sold it out. I've been there over 50 times since it opened. And I think I've sold out the 7 o'clock show maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
But the 11 o'clocks are fine for me. I love it. And then like with me, like they always try, they worry about the numbers and they go, okay, look it, we're gonna give away tickets to the 10 o'clock show on Friday. I'm like, no, my Mexicans show up late. Give away tickets to the 8 o'clock show.
Right.
10 o'clock, I'll knock that out. That's easy. But then the white comedians, that's the opposite for them. They can't do the late shows.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I get that. One thing I do notice about you, because like I listen to you when you do the radios and stuff, and they give out like 10 free tickets or whatever. I understand why they do it, but I always think like you can sell those out like that. So like I don't know why you would agree to give them the 10 tickets. You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes, a lot of times, it's an argument to get in the interview first.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they'll go, okay, well, only if we can give away some tickets. So they take care of their fan base.
Right.
And if you listen, you'll say, oh, you can only get Jeff Garcia here, right here on payday. They'll say that. And that's your in to go in and do the interview.
Yeah.
So you're giving up a couple hundred, but you're getting
the publicity on the interviews.
Yeah, I mean, and radio's a lot weaker than it was, but I just did a interview with Cecilia over there in the mornings on K Day, and they authorized her to give away free tickets because they're starting something at the Laugh Factory called Spanglish.
That's cool.
Yeah, she gave away. I think she gave away. She didn't even go on air. She just did her own Instagram, and that place was pretty full. I think she gave out like 150 tickets, and like 110 showed up. So, and that's all they wanted.
Yeah. Wow. Now, YouTube has been very good for you because I know you were working on a YouTube stand-up show. Are you still working on that?
Yeah, well, we got it up. It's JG's Comedy Underground.
Yeah.
They're giving me a show on Roku TV. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Oh, so like, can you kind of talk about that or not really?
Yeah, it's just gonna be like a simple late night show. I mean, I'm starting up with like 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're gonna do a couple gimmicks, and then at the end we're gonna have a guest.
Oh, awesome! Are you going to do stand-up guests or just a regular guest?
Anybody anybody interesting. I mean, I talked to Vivica Fox. She wants to do an interview. We have a behind us, New York Life, the Burbank branch.
Oh, nice.
So and they have a lot of faith in it. So we'll see what we can do.
Well, if you ever need a writer, Keith Reza's here for you.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be calling you.
All right, my man. All right, Jeff. So I have 3 more questions because I want to respect your time. I actually do want to talk about this because it's kind of like in the news. I wanted your take on it. So this won't count as a question, but Lopez interviewed Steve Trevino a couple weeks ago, and Trevino was going on and on about how great Ralph Barbosa was, who I've never heard of, but after I listened to this interview, I thought he was actually pretty good. And Lopez kind of like slammed him. And that's made Ralph Barbosa like more famous because I've heard Lopez doesn't really like helping comics out, but in a way, slamming him helped him out.
Yeah. Like, what's funny is that, yeah, because I got called. I never heard of that guy either.
Yeah.
But I was getting calls, and it's interesting that some of my friends, the comedians I know, the take they had, they said he might have done that because he has some working on something with them just to stir the pot.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, I don't quote me on that because I don't know, but that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, but I became a Barbosa fan just from listening to that. Like I think he's really, really good. Holy boy! Yeah, that's the 5-minute light. So here's the questions for Jeff Garcia. Jeff, if you could go in a time machine and talk to a younger Jeff Garcia, it could be from tomorrow or when you first started, what would you tell him about like everything's gonna be okay? Like, what advice would you give yourself?
First one would be, hey, Jeff, don't get married. No, I think it took me. I lucked out. I really did luck out because I started so young.
Yeah,
I learned with 23 years old. I learned this is a business. This is not you waking up at 1 in the afternoon and going and doing a set and then getting all drunk and then waking up again at 1. I mean, it's a business. That's the one thing that these comedians. Now, I'll tell you, man, the biggest plague in comedy right now is laziness.
yeah. I hate lazy comics.
That they're like 90% of them are lazy. I haven't seen a worker comedian since Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any good that understands this is a business.
No, definitely. Yeah.
I told myself that if I would have understood that, I mean, I don't know where I'd be right now. But tell you the truth, I never wanted to be big. You know me. I just want to do my job.
You just want to make people laugh.
Yeah, and I get enough money. I mean, like I don't want George Lopez problems.
Yeah. No,
No,
I get that.
I don't want any more problems.
All right. And then second to last question, Jeff Garcia. What is Jeff Garcia's biggest fears and what is your goals to overcome them?
My biggest fears. Hmm. I really don't tell you. I never thought about that. I mean, like you know what? I don't want to be caught up in some sort of scandal or anything like that. That to me that bothers me. That these guys are getting in all these scandals,
Yeah.
and it's
Because
not.
then it's like, what about their side? You know what I mean?
Yeah, not even their fault half the time. I mean,
Yeah.
and like I see that, and like I'm afraid I'm gonna say something, and somebody's gonna take it to this whole thing, and oh yeah, fuck that guy, he said this. I mean, which shouldn't be the point of us doing it. Is we're supposed to be able to say whatever we want.
Yeah.
Like I said, like the last thing that pissed me off, well, besides the Louis C.K. thing, was the Joe Rogan thing. How he said something, and then they totally, oh, I'm going off Spotify because he said that. That's not the way this is supposed to work. And these people are musicians. They should be able to sing about whatever they want to sing about.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
they're sitting there telling him he can't say that. That doesn't. That's why I'm saying that. Like, I'm glad. I feel sorry for the guys starting right now, man. This whole cancel culture thing is just it worries me, bro.
I feel that the comics starting right now who are trying to be I'm going to use the word edgy, but I'm using it wrong. They're trying to be edgy about these certain topics, and they turn these things, the facts, and with no joke structure. You know what I'm talking about? Where
Yeah,
it's more like just preaching and not more telling me a joke about it.
yeah, I agree. And yeah, like you say, they try to get a little controversial with it, and it's not funny.
Yeah. It
I
makes
mean,
me as a comedian very uncomfortable just listening to it.
yeah, like I joke about it, and I took a little bit of shit on Instagram, but I said I'm all these people that are running around, put your mask on, put your mask on. If you have your mask on, why the fuck you give a fuck if I do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what the thing is like because I'm very respectful about the mask. Like if someone wants me to wear it, I'll wear it to respect them. But I will never wear a mask while I'm driving.
I
Like
know.
I find I'm like that is just you know
There's
what I'm saying?
nowhere for it to get in, bro. I mean, COVID came up to exhaust and just waiting for me when I take off. I
Did
mean,
you ever did you ever get COVID?
if I did, I didn't know.
Yeah, I got it. It wasn't great, but you know, I survived. And then my last question for Jeff Garcia is this. You're in a new movie with Paul Rodriguez. Can you talk about that right now?
I have the smallest part. I mean, we talked about it. Been friends for years, and he brought up the cast who he put in the movie, and I go, look, man, I would go with that guy. He's all, I want you to do something. So I just have I think my character doesn't even have a name.
Oh, okay.
I do scenes just real quick, and it's well, I haven't seen any of it, but I just seen what I shot, and it's called Born Again, and basically he gets out of jail, and he on accident he becomes a priest, and then he realizes how much money he can make being a priest.
Yeah.
I mean, the script on paper, it's funny.
Yeah.
And he has that Argentinian dude directing it, and I've seen some of the stuff he did, and I think they're on the right track with this.
Yeah. That sounds very interesting. I've been trying to get Paul to do this for forever, and he just keeps blowing me off. Maybe when his movie comes out, he'll do it.
How about
Yeah.
this? I'll give you a call when I'm with them. How's that?
Sounds good, Jeff. Jeff, where can the folks at home follow and support you, man?
Jeff Garcia, LA, Instagram.
All right, buddy. I lost your video. I don't know if your phone's dying, but
I'm getting another call and here. There it is.
all
Zoom meeting.
right. You got another interview. All right, buddy. Jeff, I love you. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in a couple weeks, pal.
All right, sounds like a plan.
All right, bye, Jeff.
All right, later on, bro.
All right. Subscribe, rate, review to the show. Support Jeff Garcia, guys, and we'll see you guys next week.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.